Number 5. Cindy Song was a young woman from South Korea who moved to the United States in 1995 to live with her aunt and uncle in Virginia. Overall, Cindy was very happy to have had the opportunity to move to the States, though Cindy's future took a dark and unexpected turn on Halloween in 2001. Cindy, along with 2 friends, dressed up to attend a small Halloween party that was taking place nearby. The girls remained at this party until around 2 a.m. They then left, went to a friend's house to play video games, after which Cindy arrived home at around 4 a.m. Cindy was dropped off by her friends, they waved goodbye, then sped away. The friends say they never saw Cindy actually enter her home, and Cindy hasn't been seen since. Brian Sprinkle, the lead investigator for Cindy's disappearance, stated, "We have nobody, we have no crime scene, we have no actual crime. So it's been frustrating without any of those pieces of the puzzle, and because of that, it seems almost as though she vanished into thin air." According to Cindy's family, she was an extremely independent girl and had a habit of doing things spontaneously, though she always worked hard in school and was very responsible. She was known to have been attending college as well as holding down 2 jobs at the time of her disappearance. Detectives later searched Cindy's apartment, at which time they found her book bag as well as a pair of used fake eyelashes, likely to have been taken off following the party, telling investigators that Cindy had in fact made it into her apartment. Detectives say that Cindy was likely wearing the bunny suit that she had had on earlier that evening when she disappeared. They also believe that she still has her purse and all of her credit cards with her, indicating that her departure from the apartment may have been planned. Regardless, no evidence of Cindy has ever been found to this day, but her family remains hopeful that one day she'll return home safely. Number 4. 19-year-old Kristen Smart, along with 18-year-old April Gregory, were both students who had just begun attending college. Although they'd never actually met, they both somehow disappeared within a 5-hour window without any explanation or clues as to where they may have gone. According to April's brother, she was extremely excited to be enrolled in college. In fact, she'd even enrolled in summer courses in an effort to gain her degree faster than most students. When April's brother says he dropped her off outside of her dorm at around 11:45 a.m. on May 24th, he never saw her again. The dorms were known to have been heavily supervised at this time by school staff, leading many students to feel quite secure in their location. Though this makes April's disappearance from her 7th floor dorm all that more mysterious. When staff discovered that she was missing, it was noted that it appeared as though she'd finished unpacking. The only clue that she left behind was a single missing school uniform, though April never attended work or any of her classes that day. Even stranger is that at this exact same time, another student named Kristen Smart disappeared in almost identical circumstances. The only exception was that Kristen had been seen with a man, presumably a boyfriend of some sort, just hours before she went missing. Over 1 year passed without any sort of additional leads into the case. That is, until police finally made an arrest regarding April's disappearance. According to record, police arrested April's ex-boyfriend and alleged that he killed April, dismembered her body, then hid it in numerous locations, with the head likely being kept in his home, though this hasn't been confirmed. Regardless, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Number 3. On the evening of April 25th, 1988, Elizabeth Campbell, a 20-year-old college student, got into an altercation with her boyfriend. As this disagreement escalated, Elizabeth is said to have simply stormed out of his house without any warning. The boyfriend said that this was extremely out of character for her and was concerned. Later that evening, her boyfriend Ricky received a phone call from a payphone at a convenience store located about 11 miles away. The call was from Elizabeth. She was asking him to pick her up, though she refused to tell him why she stormed out of the house so unexpectedly. The two got into a bit of an argument once again, with this being the last time anyone ever heard from Elizabeth. Elizabeth's parents echoed Ricky's statement, stating that it was unlike her to simply leave without telling anyone where she was going. Following this, her parents posted literal thousands of flyers all around town, requesting information from anyone who may have seen their daughter. About 6 days later, info came in from a convenience store worker who believed she'd likely seen the girl. According to the worker, she was with an older man who was holding her tightly just above the wrist. He came into the store, handed the clerk a $20 bill in exchange for gas, and refused to let the girl speak in any way. The clerk said that the girl appeared as though she was shaken, likely being held against her will. Later on, another eyewitness came forward with a very similar report. Elizabeth and an unknown man were seen at an ice cream stand, with Elizabeth appearing to have been forced into being there, appearing to be emotionally broken by this point. The witness said that in no way was Elizabeth with this man of her own free will. Finally, about 2 months later, yet another report came in of a woman matching Elizabeth's description, seen with a very rough-looking man, with Elizabeth appearing to have been deeply frightened of him. Elizabeth's parents were now convinced that their daughter was likely still alive, though they now believed that she was likely being held by this man, forced into working as a prostitute, a thought that was shared by numerous individuals close to the case. To this day, nearly 30 years later, Elizabeth has still not been found and no further sightings of her have been reported. Number 2. On March 22, 1977, Chuck Morgan, an Arizona resident and escrow company owner, left his home in the early morning hours, as was usual, though he was never seen again. Chuck was suspected of being a potential witness to a fraud case involving a mafia boss, though this hasn't been confirmed. Strangely, just 3 days after his disappearance, Chuck managed to make his way back home, but his return simply left more questions than answers. Chuck's wife says that she was awoken in the early morning hours by a thump at the back door of her home. She opened the door to find Chuck with a set of plastic handcuffs around one ankle, a metal set around his hands, and missing one shoe. After his discovery, Chuck kept motioning toward his throat, as if trying to indicate that there was some problem. His wife asked if he was capable of speaking, to which he motioned no. She then asked if he could write, and he motioned yes. She then got him a tablet, to which he wrote, indicating that his throat had been painted with some sort of hallucinogenic drug, and that the drug was expected to drive him insane, then destroy his nervous system and kill him. His wife said that she wanted to call a doctor, but Chuck assured her that this would result in the death of the entire family. Over the course of the next week, Chuck's wife helped him regain his health, with his voice slowly returning. It was during this time that Chuck began to hint to his wife that he was actually a secret agent for the government, telling his wife, quote, "They took my treasury identification." She said that he then explained his work and how he had been employed by the government for 2 or 3 years. Chuck's story was that he was assisting the government uncover organized crime operations. Upon hearing this, Chuck's wife recalled him speaking about numerous occasions in which he'd witnessed money laundering schemes, and even helped sell real estate to known mafia members. Though when his wife questioned him about this, he responded, "The less you know, the better." After his initial kidnapping, Chuck took no chances with being captured again. He was reported to have worn a bulletproof vest at all hours of the day, and made sure he was the only one to drive his daughters to and from school. However, just 2 months later, Chuck went missing again. Just 9 days after this, a mysterious phone call rang into Chuck's home. His wife answered. There was a woman on the other end who referred to Ruth as Ruthie, then stated, "Chuck is all right." Ecclesiastes 12:1-8. She then hung up. The biblical passage that was mentioned reads, "Men are afraid of a high place and of terrors on the road. Remember him before the silver cord is broken and the golden bowl is crushed. Then the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to God who gave it." Chuck's body was then discovered 2 days later. While he was wearing his bulletproof vest, he'd been shot in the back of the head by a single bullet at very close range. Police then discovered that a clipped $2 bill had been placed in Chuck's pocket. Written on the bill were 7 Spanish names, beginning with letter A through G. Above them was written Ecclesiastes 12, with verses 1-8 marked with arrows pointing to the bill's serial number. On the back of this bill were the names of individuals who signed the Declaration of Independence, marked 1-7, and a small, roughly drawn map. Despite all of this, local police ruled that Chuck took his own life. Number 1. Private Justin Berg Winkle was a well-respected member of the United States Army. He scored high in all of his Army-related tests and was highly regarded by many of his peers and overseers. However, after 3 years of service, Justin unexpectedly went AWOL, left his camp without warning, and was never seen again. Just 3 months later, Justin's car was found in the parking lot of a motel, covered in dust and debris with his keys locked inside. To this day, no one knows where Justin is or why he suddenly made such a drastic change in his life. When police questioned his girlfriend, she only amplified their concerns, stating that she noted some rather drastic changes in his mood over the last few months. She said no matter what they were doing, at seemingly random moments, Justin would simply stand up, state, "I'm sorry, but I have to go see people in Monterey, but I'll be right back," then leave and return hours later. She said that as time went on, his departures became more frequent and more vague, with him ultimately telling her, "I'm sorry, I can't tell you. I'm doing something secret and I can't reveal it to you." She also recalled that Justin always had a briefcase with him and was extremely secretive about it. He would never open it in front of her, though she said she caught a glimpse of what was inside at one point. She said that she noticed him removing specific pieces of paper from the briefcase. He would shred them by hand, then toss them back inside. Eventually, she said that Justin's episode got even worse. One day she found him in the middle of the living room floor sobbing. A short while after this, she says she received a strange phone call from a man, simply stating the mission's off. Tell him the mission's off. Following this message, she says that Justin reacted dramatically and poorly, screaming and cursing. Just weeks after this is when Justin went AWOL, never to be seen again. Once authorities were finally able to gain access to the car which they'd found parked outside the motel, they found nothing but his briefcase and the trunk. When they opened the briefcase, it was empty, aside from his wallet and military dog tags. Justin's girlfriends then informed researchers of a time in which he asked her, "Do you know what these dog tags are for?" She responded no. He then told her when a soldier dies, they stick them in his teeth so that he can be identified. If you ever find these laying around, it means I'm dead. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.